Welcome back to the Unanimous Decision Podcast. I am your host, DPalm. Follow me on Blue Sky, Instagram, all the socials at DPalm66. Follow the show on YouTube. That's right, YouTube, dragging this podcast into 2015, one episode at a time. You can find us at UDPod66. As always, I'm brought to you by the good folks at the MTR Network, and I'm also brought to you by DanielPalmerMortgages.com. If you can pay your rent, you can pay a mortgage. It's my job to help you qualify. Life, love, and real estate. New episodes dropping this week. New episode coming out Wednesday. We're talking about kind of getting yourself in the place of getting prepared to buy a home in 2026. We talk about kind of our processes and how we get ready for the new year in Q4. And it's a good way to bring you guys into the mindset of getting ready to buy your new home or expand your investment portfolio in the new year. That's really funny that I do that promo and now I've got Chad here. So Chad's here. If you guys don't know who Chad is, first of all, welcome to the podcast. But Chad and I started doing podcasting together about 13 years ago. For Dude You Crazy, we had Dude You Podcast. We were on Blog Talk Radio. And for some reason, he still allows himself to talk to me. Say, what's up, Chad? How's it doing, buddy?
Every time I get that intro, it feels further and further back. And then you get the little the little Facebook notification that, hey, this was your screenshot 12 years ago. And I'm like, God damn, man. Yeah, still here, still got a voice. I don't know how you still manage to do it and how you get people to come on and talk to you. But, sometimes I just feel a little guilty. So here I am.
I like abusing your guilt. I appreciate that. That's what good friends do. I will say this, part of the way I can do it is I've literally just turned this into my sports journal. Like now it's just like, here are the things I'm thinking about right now. Like it's just like, it's so Susan's not to hear it. Like I'm literally just sparing my wife my nonsense by talking to my friends. And I also gave Felder an entire day of the week to just bitch about whatever's on his mind. So that's really helps a lot.
But that's not just hand at the dirt.
Well, I think of an extra outlet. He gets a Felder free space every time he's on the podcast. So it's a good start. It's a really, really good start. So listeners, Chad and I, like I mentioned, used to run a podcast called Dude You Podcast. It was a Georgia podcast. Like I said, we were on Blog Talk Radio for a while there. It was really exciting. It was a lot of fun. He is one of the reasons why you're listening to me today. So if you hate this, then blame him.
Sure.
I invited you on to laugh about
Florida. Then what happened?
Well, let's start with, we'll get there. Let's start with that because when I called you originally, I was like, hey, man, come on. You're like, I can't. I'm at the beach because I'm a single person with no responsibilities and I hate you. But my jealousy aside, you had a nice weekend at the beach. And I was like, let's just talk next weekend, thinking I could still use the Florida jokes as a lead into cocktail party talk. So let's do that for a second.
All right.
Billy Napier's fired.
Yeah, it gets a lot funnier because of what's happened since. But So would any of this had happened if Sunbelt Billy had just given up play calling? Because physically they're a good team. I mean, the LSU game where Lagway threw 5 picks, that's like me going on tilt in a game of Madden and throwing 6 picks with Patrick Mahomes. Like shit happens. But I'll be honest with you, coming into the season, I said, man, this is a Florida team that can get the Bulldogs. Like they're they have great pass rush. Their offensive line looks really good. Their receivers are coming along. And then, you shit the bed against South Florida, shit the bed again against LSU. And you're like, well, this guy's already pre-fired. Let's see what happened. Then, I mean, beating Texas also makes it funnier. We got some Sark in the news too. And I think history is going to look back and say a 2-point win over this Mississippi State team is really not that bad.
Look, I
don't know why I just came on and defended Billy. I just like having him there.
This was the last thing I thought was going to happen. So I
liked having him there.
That's the thing. I liked having him there because I knew he'd always fuck it up. And like, I don't know. Now we're getting a new look Florida team off a bye with the dead cat bounce of the interim coach. I don't love that going to the cocktail party. I will say this. It was very interesting to see them rally to save his job again.
Like, the players love that guy.
I don't know what it is. They don't love him that much because otherwise they'd play hard from the beginning.
No, they don't play hard against USF, but by God, they'll run off 3 against ranked opponents in November to save his ass. And the best part last year was they sat Lagway against Texas when they knew they had no shot.
Right.
And they come back, and you're still like, I mean, it's still going to take a miracle. Beat LSU, beat Ole Miss. Like somebody paid Jackson Dart in that Ole Miss game, and then beat Florida State, which was not consequential at all. Won't be consequential this year. So I really feel like Florida just got out in front of it because they said we can't allow this dude to save his job again. And
that's how it feels.
Yeah.
That's how it feels. And now we're heading into a cocktail party with an interim coach, with a team that's got something to prove, with a bunch of guys who want to get on tape if they're going to stay there or be NIL next year or go transferring next year. Like this is a recipe for an upset, Chad. I'm not going to lie to you.
This is kind of like how you always try to talk me into an Auburn upset. I mean,
I'm allowed to be scared.
I mean, you're well within your rights as an American and a human being to be scared, but at the end of the day, I mean, I just don't really see Kirby dropping the ball in this situation. I don't love everything about Georgia's team this year. They just feel like a team that's going to find a way to win. And if it's 24-16 Florida at the end of the first half, Florida's still going to be hanging in the 20s at the end of the second half. Like the one thing that I can give Georgia tremendous credit for this year, despite having the worst defensive line in 6 years, the worst secondary.
It had to get thin at some point, Chad. Had to get thin. That's what I keep telling myself.
Well, that's just the great flattening of college football right there with the portal. And, you can't hoard talent. Apparently, player reps are doing a good job of getting tape out on these guys that are backups now. So that sucks for us. But, I just really see a Georgia team that essentially figures out, okay, this is the script, this is their game plan, and then they just shut it down. And then Gunnar Stockton –
I can't believe it. It's happening to me again, Chad.
So I'm going to kind of flip the script on you. What how wide would the odds have to be for you to put your hard-earned money on Gunnar Stockton Heisman odds?
So we were on the show last Friday with Felder, and he's in New York right now because it's turning into a quarterback award, and the rest of this quarterback class is garbage. It's him, Jacob Pavia, Haynes King, and the kid out of A&M and the kid in Oregon. Like those are my five right now, and that's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. But you can't deny results, and I'm not gonna fall into my Stetson trap where I had a stance and I couldn't leave that corner for 2 national titles.
The Jag plus stance, because I was right there with you. We were texting about this. Was that during the Ole Miss game?
It was just like, look, here we go again. It's just I decided I'm here for the ride this time. There's less on the line. We've already won 2 in a row. Let's see it. Like Gunnar, I'm one of those people who thinks that yes, he played admirably when Carson went down last year. The fact that we came into this season without a different quarterback is a failure in leadership, in my opinion. But I will eat my crow. He has, and I hate, again, this feels like Tim Tebow with the Broncos. He just finds a way to win, but he does. And that's the craziest shit in the world because the Ole Miss game, dead in the water in the fourth. And guess what? They just decide, what if we score 1 billion points? You can't score any more. And I don't love the way or like kind of the holes they put themselves in, but I'm becoming more and more confident with them to overcome it. So, yes, a lot of my turgid for Florida is manufactured, but it's also a lifetime of watching this team lose to that team on this weekend.
And the thing is, I mean, usually we have individuals that we can single out on the defense. We'll shout out Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. Nobody's really had that standout performance this year. I still really like KJ Bolden and CJ Allen, but a lot of that performance has kind of come over on the offensive side. I mean, Zach Branch has been just the skill player that this Georgia entity has not had in quite some time. I trust him with my life on a 3rd and short. Colby Young actually makes plays downfield. They got the tight ends involved last week. So but Bobo's kind of getting into his bag.
Don't do it. Don't fall for it again. It's happened to every one of us at least once. Remember that summer I lied about myself about Brian Schottenheimer? That sucked. Yeah, man.
Okay, this might be an offline conversation. You're going to have to explain to me Schottenheimer with the Cowboys because that's a That's another thing altogether.
There's a lot of
That's
talent.
just good talent. Yeah.
There's a lot of talent on offense.
Yeah. Although I've seen Schottenheimer fuck up with relatively more talent.
I don't want to even go
But
down that road.
well, and going back to, our original thought there, one road I'm glad we didn't go back down was the Carson Beck road, because it's not going to come out this season, but I watched that Louisville game. That dude is still throwing with a noodle for a UCL in his right elbow. Like he cannot drive the ball at all.
I'm cheering for Carson. I hope that he does very well. This is a public forum. I will tell you.
He plays for
anything
Miami.
else I might think. I will text you later. So we're expecting blowouts. Is it a blowout this weekend, or are we talking a nip and tuck? How do you feel? Give me a little chat. Give me some Chad Floyd hope.
This is like I would say either a Florida backdoor cover or a Georgia late cover. Like, just one of those, depending on game state, like 34-23-ish.
Okay. I could live with that. I can deal with that. That's an acceptable game.
Yeah, maybe Florida kicks a sad field goal to get within 8 and then tries an onside kick or something. But I mean, it's one of those things I'm not going to believe it until I see it. And lamed up team, like you said, guys might be out for themselves to put some tape out there. They still have talent, but I don't really know if they can rally for the guy after the guy the way they rallied for the guy so many daggum times. It's insane to me.
Do it for Billy one more time, y'all.
He seems, he doesn't really seem very charismatic or smart or charming or anything. So,
I just love his ass, man.
Well, Jaden Rashada doesn't, but.
Wow, that lawsuit's still pending. So originally, when I drew this up, I had a much longer thing to talk about, more like the nitty gritty of Cocktail Party. But we have backed into Chad's favorite thing about college football, and that's talking about coaches. And we're here, and I'm gonna set this whole story by telling a story about Mike Elko's post-game press conference. And Mike Elko's post-game press conference after Texas A&M beat the dog shit out of LSU on Brian Kelly's birthday at night, Mike Elko said, our guys are just bigger and stronger, and that's because we have a great strength and conditioning program. For those who don't know, when Brian Kelly got to LSU, he fired the strength and conditioning coach who had been there since Saban, he now works for, that's right, Mike Elko and Texas A&M. That story encapsulates what the problem has been with Brian Kelly from the beginning. He got to LSU. He said, I know better than anything that's been built here before, even with the 20 years microwave dynasty of getting those titles under those 3 different coaches in their first 4 years. I know best. I'm Brian Kelly. Fuck what you've done before. Here's how we're doing it. And now he's unemployed. What's your favorite nugget
on his birthday?
What's your favorite nugget from the firing itself? We're gonna go. Trust me, I've got a path forward for us, but I wanted to start there. What is your favorite nugget from all the reporting we're hearing coming pouring out of Louisiana today?
Best thing is they got booed off the field twice. Okay. So game ends, he goes into the locker room, comes back out to sing the alma mater, gets booed off the field again. Second thing is my dad and I were texting. I was at a wedding on Saturday night, and he was giving me some score updates, and I said, "Oh, Brian Kelly's fucking cooked." And he says, "No way. He's got such a strong track record." I said, "Cooked, guarantee it." So just being right, that's number 2 for me.
Always a good feeling.
Number 3, there's a parallel. Do you remember a guy named Matt Doherty? He was a basketball coach at the University of North Carolina in the early 2000s. He played with Jordan in college, basically went to Wall Street, and then ended up emerging as the coach of Notre Dame. Ended up getting hired after the guy after Dean Smith, and the guy after Dean Smith was just his lifelong assistant. Doherty fired every last person in the building, decided he was going to do it his way, went 8-20 his second year, brought in some good recruits that were the core of Roy Williams' first national championship team, but he was a dead man walking by his third year. Kelly, there are some parallels, and I think people were just basically riding the hype of, okay, well, you just had Jaden Daniels here. Jaden Daniels just happened to be there. then Garrett Nussmeier just happened to be a Louisiana born and bred kid who could have gone pro last year. Given the quarterbacks in last year's draft could have been a first rounder last year. Stuck around, did not rebuild the offensive line, did not really embrace the transfer portal, and kind of let that roster go to shit.
More than anything.
Oh, and my third thing.
No, hold on, stop. More than anything, he's fired because he's an asshole. My favorite thing about the whole firing story is that apparently Scott Woodward brought him in there and was like, "Hey, you're gonna have to fire your offensive coordinator." And excuse me, we'll get to him in a second. And Brian Kelly was like, "Well, I hear what you're saying, boss. What if I fire these other people you don't want me to fire?" And that escalated into the governor injecting himself because there is no president at LSU right now.
Governor Long
firing. Brian Kelly said, "You want me to fire one coach? What if you fire all of us? What if you fire me instead?"
I built the whole plane out of fired.
I have a question for you, Chad. Like, let's erase like all like the things we know about Brian Kelly. This is the behavior of someone who is trying to get fired,
right? The lawyers you can afford for 50 some odd million. Yeah, I'd be trying to get fired and given like his gaffe from the very step where he did the family thing. And, he was never a fit there. It was a weird hire when they made it. I wonder how miserable he was. And it's not like he has any friends anywhere. So, no. Being miserable and isolated, it's probably a tough way to go through life. But yeah, so I think he was definitely trying to get fired. My favorite thing was, as if he was trying to maintain a shred of nobility, he said, "No, I'm not firing Joe Sloan, my offensive coordinator. You can have my offensive line coach." Brian Kelly gets fired on Sunday. Joe Sloan gets fired on Monday. Even when he wants to fall on the sword for somebody else, that's not. Yeah, it just ain't happening.
And it's one of those things that people who like dabble in college football or like know a little bit about it, are looking like his record's not that bad, and it's not. And he was good in night games, so he wasn't. And you're giving all these reasons why not to fire him, and you're probably right. But guess what, guys? When you want to fire a motherfucker, you'll find a reason. And Brian Kelly kept giving them reasons. Like, yes, he's a well-documented asshole everywhere he's been. When he left Notre Dame, he brought 0 assistants with him. That tells you who this man is. No one was like, "Yeah, Brian, I'm tired of living in the snow. I don't want to dig my car out anymore. Let's go to Baton Rouge and get drunk for a couple years." No, they were like, "I'm staying in South Bend."
Yeah, I don't want to take a high-profile job in a place where you could just putt a golf ball and hit a 5-star recruit.
No, I'm going to stick it out here in South Bend.
Where we have to, where we claim to bring in players with academic standards.
Well, even like getting away from that, which he loosened while there. Well, I want to remind everyone, Brian Kelly's tenure at Notre Dame was impressive for Notre Dame standards. He made a title, made a playoff, all that fun shit. He also killed a kid, and I want to make sure that doesn't get forgotten. Brian Kelly killed a kid using a scissor lift during a rainstorm during a practice. Google it. I'm not kidding.
Yep, we have told that story on the podcast before. It is not a story; it is just a reflection of this man's character.
Just who he is.
Yep.
He wanted his practice film so goddamn bad he killed someone for it.
Yep. And they're practicing in hurricane conditions anyway.
I want you to understand, this man. There's not so normally when things like this happen. There's one other person who I've told you about offline before who I saw this happen to. When someone gets fired in a big profile job like this, generally there's at least one or two, or sometimes even multiple members of the media who are like, "Here's why this person didn't deserve to get fired." 0 friends in the media.
No.
Sometimes you can have too many friends in the media and ask more questions. Hi, Mike Lombardi. Sometimes you don't have any, and I ask different kinds of questions. Like, why are you such an asshole?
Why are you such an asshole that you have to bring Michael Lombardi into this? I was having a nice conversation.
Did you listen to the Pablo Torre thing?
Not yet. I've had enough UNC football content for this year, man.
I sent it to Felder on Friday. Oh, it was infuriating him. I can't wait to talk to him this coming Friday. Um, but also, let's make sure that we all recognize this. It's $54 million that LSU does not have. Which,
Well,
don't worry,
that's why you get
because
the governor involved, because you just underfund some more schools and hospitals. But
it's spread out over years. It's only $800,000 a month. It's gonna be fine.
that's only 20 teacher salaries. It's
Oh
fine.
my god! Hey, and don't and even better. Don't worry. If he gets hired somewhere else, the offset will pay for it. But guess what? As we previously covered, Brian Kelly is famously an asshole.
Boston College. I'm just saying.
Can I tell you four words that make me laugh very hard?
Do they have
Florida
to do
coach
with Bill
Bobby
O'Brien?
Petrino, but Florida coach Brian Kelly.
I don't mind Penn State coach Brian Kelly either.
Oh, they don't want him. They don't want
I
his
know,
scroll.
but yeah, but you have to hire
look,
somebody, and what like
well,
they.
let's get to the carousel, because I know this is your favorite thing about college football. I want to talk first about.
It's really not, but this is just wild. Like
This is
there's
a
too
crazy
much
one.
going on.
Scott Woodward was the person who gave Dan Mullen all that money at A&M. And now he's the one who gave all this money
Jimbo.
to Les Miles. Or excuse me, Jimbo. Thank you. Jimbo at A&M. He's also the person giving all this money to Brian Kelly. My question to you is, since there is no president, does this mean he's about to hire another coach?
What if he hires Jimbo again?
You got to find out. Make him say no.
I mean, this dude's responsible for 9 figures of college football buyouts in the last 4 years, and he's said, "Don't make me do it again."
Work if you can get it,
buddy. Let me tell you. Yeah, I wonder if, just to offset that stat, if he did bring in Jimbo, bring down the offset from Texas A&M, maybe he can get his number under 100 million. But man, if I was LSU, I would think there's enough of a track record to where you really don't want this guy hiring another coach.
But you don't have anyone in position to replace him right now. Like, that's the thing, is that, like, because of when you've done this, you almost back at the whims of Scott Woodward, excuse me.
Or the governor just takes over as AD at LSU, because
bring back Coach O.
Literally bringing back the Huey Long situation from 100 years ago. Just building dorms into the football stadium.
Now I hope that happens. So let's talk about the bigger problem that's been brought to light because of this job opening, the Lane Kiffin problem. So Lane is the spiritual successor to Seasburger. The problem being that we all agree Lane's kind of a ninny. And before Sunday night, which, by the way, can we break this before 8:30 on a Sunday? Fire him early in the day, guys. Like, what are we doing? What did it take all day to fire him? He's an asshole.
Hey, I had podcasts to listen to this morning. That was pleasant.
We're making all those people dust off their microphones. How dare you? Not us. We're lazy. Lane Kiffin.
You have a schedule, damn it.
Lane Kiffin is a ninny. And in his ninniness, he's at his literally third best college job right now. And he's about to have the pick of the litter for all these jobs that come out. Is this Florida's job to lose? Because let's start here. Do you think he's going back to Ole Miss?
More and more, I kind of do.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's at a certain point. I mean, between Napier and Kelly, what were they both hired before the 22 season? So they were both fired in their 4th year.
That's that big cycle, yeah.
I mean, the infrastructure that they have put around Kiffin basically puts a floor on what he can do. And, essentially, I mean, he's one playoff appearance away from statue territory there. So at a certain point, you can recruit X percent better, or you can have the state of Mississippi pay for your roster. And that's kind of going to be his approach regardless. Why not stick? So I mean, he was kind of the obvious candidate just to be, kind of the first name up. But the more I think about it, what can they really offer him besides a pay bump, which Ole Miss will match? Yeah. So I don't know. And I think there are plenty of good candidates for the job, but LSU is not going to hire a G5 coach in state. They proved that last time and didn't hire Billy, which kind of works out for him. The egos on these two schools specifically are going to eliminate a lot of quality candidates that could win a lot of football games for them.
But they don't. That's the thing that we're learning about both these jobs. They don't want to win football games. They want to win football games in ways that make them feel good. Florida, that means scoring a lot of points and talking a lot of shit.
Eli Drinkwitz scores a lot of points and talks a lot of shit. I'm just saying.
There you go. But
yeah.
Go ahead and sell those trustees on the Mizzou guy. Like, let's see if we can do it. They're going to want to splash. And then going to LSU, they won a bunch of games. They didn't win the right games, and they didn't win them the way they like to win them. They didn't win them with physicality. They didn't win them with dominating performances on either side of the ball, particularly the line. That lack of physicality, that lack of – I think that there's more – you've got problems in both places. Like, you're going to have to rebuild some things. But I think that the systems and the talent depth is closer at LSU.
Yeah.
I will say that I think the ceiling on both those jobs is way higher than the Ole Miss ceiling.
I would agree with that. I think the floor can be lower once they turn on you. Yeah, and nine wins at Ole Miss gets you a lifetime contract. 9 wins at LSU or Florida has you on the hot seat.
9 wins at LSU and Florida.
Well, 9 wins at Florida would be great at this point.
Yeah, I got to say 9 wins at LSU. It's great if they like you. Again, he could have survived this if he wasn't an asshole. He lost to 2. He's 3 losses this year to 3 teams in the top 10 right now. Like, that's all survivable. He just sucks. Like, that's the thing. I want to make sure that's very clear here. He's gone because he sucks as a human being, not because the results. Like, the results aren't great. Some of the on the field products, some of the swagger, the LSU identity that's been lost under him is very much part of it. But more than anything, he's a bad hang. He's not someone you want to spend time with. In this job, as Chad here has twice cheered for Mac Brown to coach his team. This job's about being likable.
Yeah, and I mean, you said it best, talking about no media coming out and really having a counter to the other side of the story, and then also no assistants coming with him.
That's my favorite anecdote.
Like, his offensive coordinator came with him, or I guess followed him after a year from Cincinnati to LSU, and then got Jaden Daniels a Heisman and said, "Nope, going back to Notre Dame."
Yeah. Got the fuck out.
Yeah. Like,
so the Lane Kiffin problem is because, like, the biggest problem about the Lane Kiffin thing is that, like, once Lane falls, or the Lane Kiffin decision is going to be the keystone of all this, and that should be terrifying for anyone who's ever watched Lane Kiffin make a decision. Lane Kiffin was talking shit to a 20-year-old during an ABC postgame interview this week. This is not a man who should be – the entire world of college football should not revolve around him. But you know what the best part about all this is, Chad? The very best part? No one ever asks, where's Kirby going to go?
No.
No one ever brings it up. You know why? Because Kirby's at the place he wants to be. He's 49, and they'll give him all the money in the world to never leave. He don't want to leave. It's the best. He cannot go to the NFL. He has no part of that. There's no piece of him that wants that.
Now the flip side to that is eventually he becomes so entrenched, and if there are a couple of years where the offense does kind of fall into a crater, he kind of falls into Dabo territory.
Dabo couldn't coach kickers. How dare you?
Oh man, I heard somebody like throw a hypothetical of Dabo to LSU the other day, and I laughed really hard at that.
So that's my second.
For him to restart the clock.
The second thing for me, besides the Lane Kiffin problem, is the Bobby Petrino problem. Because everyone keeps forgetting the Arkansas job is technically open. We've all just assumed Bobby Petrino's just not going to leave.
Oh, there's no chance that he's not getting that job if he wants it.
But my thing is, now Bobby's like, that LSU job looks pretty good.
Okay, LSU's crazy, but they're not stupid and crazy. They're one of the two, but they ain't both.
Don't you challenge Louisiana. Don't you tell Louisiana what they can't do. I believe in you, Louisiana.
It's perfectly fair, but I can see Auburn doing Bobby Petrino. I can't really see it with LSU. And I mean, Auburn will. I mean, shit.
Okay. Could you see Florida doing Bobby Petrino?
Nah.
So that's my third question here is like, now let's say these big names go, let's say these names fall where they're going to fall. What if you're LSU and you're on your fourth pick of coach? Like that's what's, and the thing about it, it doesn't have to end poorly because let's look at the carousel right now. We're talking about LSU, Florida, Arkansas, technically, Penn State. We imagine UCLA. We imagine Florida State and Auburn are coming open. Wisconsin's going to come open. Carolina probably should come open.
It probably won't, but it probably should.
That's so sad.
Good.
Sark had his name floated.
So here's there are two things. Just we'll get that out of the way now, so you can stop making jokes.
No, I've got more.
One, Carolina had the cycle all to themselves last year. John Sumrall was signed, sealed, delivered, and the board of trustees said, "Hey, wait a minute, what about this?" Fucking A. Two, if they entered the fray this year, I mean, are they a top 10 job in this cycle? I think we're stuck for at least another year.
Well, it gets crazier because we heard the Sark rumors this weekend that Steve Sarkisian had floated his name for the Titans opening. And we know for a fact that Marcus Freeman was a finalist for the Bears job. He just couldn't get any more interviews because they went too deep in the playoff. So, like, let's say Texas and Notre Dame come open. Now we're talking about, and because we know Matt Rule is leaving Nebraska, we're going to say, we'll just go ahead and remove Penn State from this list and add in Nebraska. We're talking Texas. We're talking Notre Dame. We're talking Florida, LSU, Arkansas, FSU, Auburn, Wisconsin.
Let's just say everybody but Ohio State and Georgia.
Like what? And the thing is, there's no up and comer. There's no graduate from the Nick Saban school of hard knock coaches. There's no up and coming coordinator who's getting tabbed for a head coaching job. It feels like it's going to be a lot of rearranging deck chairs in the Titanic because there's so much money involved now that no one wants to take a risk on a Mike Elko, which is actually super funny because the only reason Elko's at A&M is because they wouldn't pay for Stoops' buyout from Kentucky.
Which, I mean, win for them. And,
yeah.
And
A&M's terrifying this year.
And that was one thing I was going to point to is that Duke's really good at this. Manny Diaz should be on some lists for some people. Dillingham at Arizona State should be on some lists for some people. Like there are great coaching candidates out there for everybody. But with what you're proposing, and then what are the odds Michigan gets tired of Sharon Moore if they stumble to the finish and go like 7-5? You could have 8 of the top 12, 15 jobs.
Something you said about the UNC thing. I think that the shrapnel from this year will keep jobs like Michigan from going online this year. Like this is a year where you're like, unless you know you're going to be a top 2 or 3 job, like why fire the guy? Like honestly, because of the lack of appetite in Tallahassee, I'm like, are they going to roll with Norvell one more year? Like, are they going to ride out this psychosis of what's happened this season?
I mean, and in Florida State's part, I really think they would be smart to, because I mean, when the alternative is taking Saudi PIF money, you should probably maybe kind of reevaluate your whole decision process. Shit, I just completely lost my point.
The Mike Elko corollary, how he wound up at Duke and prepping like Manny Diaz. You mentioned that.
Yeah, and then you have other moving parts like, does Shane Beamer reset the clock and go back to Virginia Tech?
I'm advocating for that.
Personally. Yeah, I need South Carolina to be a little bit less annoying, especially when they go into an annual rivalry with us here. But my point was going to be, with the success, or at least the pop that Fran Brown's had at Syracuse, I'm surprised we're not seeing more interest in the Georgia coaching tree. I'm not even making a Bobo joke here. Well, I cannot stress that enough. Like, Del McGee's kind of not done great at Georgia State, but Schumann will get a head job this year if he wants it. He'll probably get like an ACC or Big 12 job, really, despite the regression of the Georgia defense, as we mentioned. I wonder.
Think about it, there's been some real big brain drain from the Georgia back because Dan Lanning, that's a Georgia guy.
Yeah.
Todd Monken going to the NFL. Like, I think you're right that they haven't seen the drain that we thought it would be, but it has existed here.
But and to that point, why not just go get, the vibe CEO type? I mean, Fran Brown was a guy who I very much wanted for Carolina, but just get a guy who's going to, coach and inspire the players. And then, you're going to have the resources behind that because everybody's got to hire a GM now. And coaches are doing roster management, but they're mostly just like the front-facing face of the program.
You know what we should do?
That could also keep
unhired. We should completely pro bono find Mike Bobo a head coaching job. We can put together a reels and look. This guy is a CEO.
I wasn't going to make that
head coaching experience. He has done it at Colorado State. Don't look at the record. He has done it before. He can do it for you. He's a steady hand that you need. Wisconsin. Once you fire that man, come on down to Athens and have a good old meal with Mike Bobo and see how he'd fit into your program.
I like Mike Bobo back to South Carolina once Shane leaves, but
that feels like I feel like that's too obvious. We're sending him in.
That might just be too mean. That might be too mean. Maybe not too obvious.
Honestly, my belief in Manny Diaz is not as strong as yours. I would send Manny Diaz to South Carolina to see what happens. I have no faith in that man. I think this is a product of whatever Mike Elko built at Duke, which is clearly working.
Well, and again, I still hate to go back to UNC as a comparison, but Wake went and got Washington State's coach, and they're damn competent. They're going to win 8 games this year.
They even
with Robbie Ashford at quarterback.
To notice.
Robbie Ashford's on his 4th school. He was at South Carolina last year, and Auburn before that, and Oregon before that. Never could throw the ball, and they beat Kennesaw by a point in week 1, and they're going to win 8 freaking games. Like, there are guys who are capable of these jobs, but to our initial point, are they going to win that initial press conference?
Huge thing.
And why gamble $8 million a year on an unproven guy at that level when you can gamble $15 million a year on a guy who's proven he's pretty good, but also hasn't won at that level?
Is that when you get those quote unquote proven guys, they're unemployed for a reason. Like, eventually you too will be tired of the mediocrity that is James Franklin. Like, it's like, even when they hired Brian Kelly, I think our group chat was nuts that night because it was like, what we know how this ends, him being an asshole and them getting rid of him. And lo and behold, here we sit 3.5 years
never
later,
wrong, just early.
He was an asshole and they got rid of him. Chad, I'm an advocate for Lane to go to Florida because I think spiritually that makes the most sense. But I got to admit, after that, this carousel makes no sense. I'm completely dumbfounded. I have no idea what's going to happen, and that might scare me the most.
That is that's what makes it entertaining for one, but also we're not going to hear anything on any of these for 6 weeks. I mean, as long as Ole Miss, doesn't shit the bed in the Egg Bowl, they're playoff bound. Yeah. So, especially with the single transfer portal, how long are people going to wait that out? And then once the other chips start falling, you get into January and then all of a sudden Sarkisian does take that NFL job in mid-January and then just falls in Texas's lap. I can see that. But I don't know. It's chaotic. It's all stupid, but it is, just fascinating palace intrigue. I hate that it takes us away from the actual football, but the actual football is a little chaotic too. Just with outside of Ohio State basically really not having any death machines this year. I mean, you've got 12 to 15 teams that I could convince you could lose to Ohio State in the national championship.
Kurt Signetti, I know you probably heard that. He was just kidding by not mentioning you. Please do not rain fire upon his home.
Do not call out do not call out UD Pod for my words.
No. This is all chat. This is
all right. I gotta ask you, how far do you actually think Indiana could go on? Okay.
I have more faith in that offense.
I mean, that quarterback. I didn't really see that coming. Yeah,
brother. I have learned to not doubt when everyone was like, "Hey, this UCLA thing's a really nice story." Kurt Signetti beat it to death with a tire iron. This man is here. Last year, it was like, "Oh look, Indiana's here. That's adorable."
It was cute. It was cute.
It's turn, run away, y'all. Indiana coming.
Dude,
so bad.
He put up 60 on Illinois, and Illinois was overrated. But I was like, damn, that's impressive.
But
and I was like, okay, but
Oregon. I was
got
like, this is the Ponzi scheme at work, and you were like, no, this is real. I didn't believe it. Now I'm a believer. I have converted. I was wrong.
See, I thought they were like, hey, they'll be a worthy first round win for somebody in the playoff again. But yeah, I'm not making jokes about at Indiana's expense. I'll make jokes about Penn State all day. Like that was a fraud all along. USC still a fraud. Michigan, farted out like 250 yards of offense against Michigan State. They're all still frauds. Like Iowa might be the fourth best team in the Big Ten, and that tells you all you need to know.
Holy shit! And probably Deion's gone in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't even thought about that. This is crazy, man.
Well, that one doesn't really hurt my feelings because I think that's probably best for Deion too.
Yeah, I think it's a health retirement problem.
Yeah. And then the Utah coach has the coach in waiting, which is definitely, wake me up the first time that works out. I don't know, man. It's going to get wonky. Like there's one podcast app. I think it was on their Patreon feed, but they were talking about Texas Tech throwing the bag at Lincoln Riley, opening up the USC job. And
that's the USC rumors are out there now too. Like it's a thing that, like, one, of course, the rumors are its own. Like I love what you just said about are the storylines eating the sport is something I've been thinking about constantly, even as I was prepping for this podcast, because we didn't talk about A&M boat racing them. We didn't talk about narrow wins by Alabama. We didn't talk about Vanderbilt escaping. We talked about who's going to be coaching these teams. And I think that is, if not injurious to the sport, I think it's indicative of the kind of what it's turned into, which is interesting to me because I'm usually the voice in the wilderness who's like, no, the NBA is much more entertaining than just the off-the-court stuff. But here I am, like, excited to talk to you about, well, to be fair, last night I was on the couch with Susan and we're watching the beginning of Sunday Night Football, and she said something to me about something that was like prescient to our family, something I should be paying attention to. And my reply to her was, no shit, oh my God, they fired Brian Kelly.
Not, oh my God, the Steelers are dressed like bumblebees.
That was I think I thought that, but I actually said, oh my God, they fired Brian Kelly. This upcoming weekend, there's not that many huge games. Tennessee is going to be hosting Oklahoma. We've seen one of these teams edge it out, loss against Georgia. Do you think that Mateer and this broken hand can actually pull this off?
I'm not buying Oklahoma, man.
I believe the defense.
I believe in the defense to a certain extent, but the offense is just kind of ass. And in Tennessee, I think they are spiritually like the 15th best team in the country, not a top 12 team. If somebody was going to narrowly miss the playoffs, and also, like, to your previous point, I don't want to get bogged down in what's going to happen with the playoff,
Right.
But Tennessee's defense is a B+ to Oklahoma's A, but their offense is like a B+ to Oklahoma's C-.
And the only other game that's really stands out to me is Penn State has the opportunity to do the funniest thing possible. There's a real chance. No, there's not a chance. First of all, there's no chance. This will not happen.
Are they playing Ohio State?
Oh, yes.
they
noon kick.
No.
Time out. Guess the spread.
Let's see, 23.5.
Ooh, 20.5. I'm
okay.
telling you, it's there.
Within 3 touchdowns. Like, let me just get this out there. Ohio State's defense is getting close to 2021 Georgia level. Big Ten adjusted, of course, because we're going to adjust that, of course. Julian Sayan's really damn good, man.
He's fine.
He's unlike
Gunnar
Gunnar Stockton, who finds a way. Like, Julian Sayan plays within rhythm. Doesn't really hit the home runs, but everything is on time and accurate, and it's just precise. He's more of a surgeon than a gunslinger, but he's like, he makes them way more scary of a proposition than they were even last year with Will Howard's, kind of randomness, in my opinion. Like that,
Right on.
they're going to be a tough out, man. I think Ohio State's a war machine.
So we're gonna get out of here on this. Thank you for coming on, obviously, Chad. If you guys need any real estate advice or help in the larger Charlotte area, please.
It ain't got to be the Charlotte area. Just shout me out, and we'll find somebody for you to work with, and I can answer kind of the basic questions.
And that's what I get for trying to plug my friend. I will say this, Chad. Last question. Coming off of a 1-point loss to Virginia, what is your best case scenario for these last 5 games of UNC football for the season?
More games like the Clemson game and the TCU game, and make it very obvious that this guy's got to go. I don't care who we get. I mean, maybe UNC can still hire up, like from James Madison or something. I like their current coach as well, but it's really the Lombardi and the Jordan of it all. Like I think if they were just out there coaching, and I thought you were going to tee me up for a Chauncey Billups question. I do want to know, like, a dude who spent 50 games in Boston his rookie year, is that where he got the mob connections from? Like very early on?
Well, dude,
but this is me diverting. Okay, here's what's success for UNC. Win a game, come into the state game 3-8. State's maybe 5-6, 6-5. Beat NC State's in Dave Doran's ass packing. That would be funny.
I do think it's fucked up to have the last 3 games all be in the triangle, all be Wake, Duke, and NC State. Like they put a lot of the
from
scheduling, but that's pretty hilarious.
From a pure program perspective, those should not be competitive games, and over the long arc of history, they have not been. Now they're all looking like, I mean, all 3 of those teams are going to come in with the mindset of we don't win unless we win by 30. And I respect that.
Yeah, and everyone's looking. This is has basketball season started for you yet?
I don't know, man. I heard there was college basketball on TV. It's too early for me for that.
I'm trying to get you away from this man that's hurting you and your team, Bill Belichick.
Yeah, but going to college basketball is not the okay. How about this? The Hornets are 2-1.
There you go.
The Panthers have won 4 games this season.
That's crazy. And you're getting Lamar back next week for the team you actually cheer for.
Oh, finally. Yeah. Are the Ravens still betting favorites to win the division?
They gotta be. The Steelers look so incomplete. Like it's just a dog shit division this year.
Well, yeah, I know when the Ravens were 1-5 and the Steelers were 4-1, it was basically even money. Which I mean, that it speaks to exactly that point. But I don't know, that Ravens team just feels cursed this year.
That defense it's just the lack. It's just everyone got hurt and there's no depth anymore because the money got spread around, and I think it's very sad and I think it's very bad, and I hope that things get better. But if they don't, Todd, come home. We'll fire Mike. Come home, Todd. Come home, Todd.
Yep.
Chad, tell anyone where they can find your musings across the internet and talk about Chad's pets.
Yeah, man. ChadFloyd.bluesky.whatever. I will randomly throw in a Blue Sky real estate insight or random observation or something stupid my dog's doing about 3 times a week. It's not great content, but it is content. If you want to talk about real estate, and I can give you an unbiased opinion from far away, or I can give you an unbiased opinion in Charlotte. My email is my name @kw.com. I will respond to any and all inquiries, and I will find somebody in your area who is almost as capable as me of putting you in the right financial situation. And the other guy on this podcast can do the same thing.
That's right, man. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Once again, UD Pod brought to you by the good folks at the MTR Network and by GainUpOnMortgages.com. You found us that you dare lose us. Subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube. Everywhere you get your podcast for free $99. We'll be back later this week with another Felder Friday. That's your show. There is no outro. See you guys on Friday.